Hi, I'm Dave Bernhardt, Commissioner of MaineDOT, and today with me is also Joyce Taylor, Chief Engineer of the Maine Department of Transportation, as well as Andy Bickmore, Director of our Results and Information Office. We just wanted to take some time today to update our employees and others about recent initiatives and publications. I got to tell you, 2016 was such a busy and productive year for MaineDOT. It also represents the 100th year anniversary of the formation of the Maine State Highway Commission. And I'd like to think we've come a long way since then. But I got to tell you, we have a lot of challenges. We have a very modern multimodal system that we did not have 100 years ago. One of the things we like to do is we want to be as efficient and as effective as we can. About a year ago, I asked Joyce to form a roads report team. With that said, Joyce put a team together, and the roads report came out in December of this last year. And today, Joyce, one of the things I'd like to hear from you is some of the things that came out of the report.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I think some of the really interesting conversation that we had was around, we have a new highway corridor priority system that we've been using for a number of years now. But there has been a sense that some of our roads were the orphans, that we weren't able to take care of them. And so we really kind of said we need to focus on how do we take care of what we have. That's the first thing that the report needs to address. So we looked really hard at that. And we also looked at, we all know drainage is what makes a road good or bad. And so we looked at the work we're not able to get done, which includes drainage. We've struggled to get a lot of large culverts done because of permitting issues. So we really wanted to take a look at what do we do to get our roads back in shape. So the roads report had some recommendations. And really the first one is that we really recommend fully funding the preservation needs of our built highway network. Next, we will continue to fund our very popular light capital paving projects. We do about 600 miles a year. We've been doing it consistently. It's an awesome program. And third, continue our historic funding of safety, spot improvements, and mobility projects. These are things where we know we have safety issues, intersections, traffic situations that can be improved. Fourth, fund our maintenance of our drainage structures, as I mentioned, do more culvert work, really try to get at making sure that if we're going to put money into a road, the water can drain away. Fifth, continue historic funding of PM RAP or recycled asphalt. And really the last item that I think is kind of a significant shift that people will see is we're going to be a lot more strategic about funding our reconstruction and rehabilitation work. We've always had a pot of money, and we come up with a list of projects that we can use that pot of money for. And now what we're saying is those projects really need to have economic value. There needs to be even perhaps a partner that's willing to partner with us financially, whether it's a municipality, a business, or maybe it's a project that has significant safety considerations that we need to really look at. But from now on, until we can kind of catch up with what we have, we're going to focus in on paving and do reconstruction very strategically.
When we put the work plan together recently, we did take that in consideration in this last 3-year work plan, but pretty much looking at the year 2019, which is that third year,
correct,
of making the changes that are necessary because of this roads report.
Right.
Correct?
In fact, in 2019, one of the things in this report is we called for a whole new paving program.
Correct.
That's called CPR, Cyclical Pavement Resurfacing. And really what that is an opportunity to get to those highway corridor priority 3s that I think everybody knows we've been struggling to get to.
Yeah.
As part of this effort, we're looking at going down to 5 highway corridor priorities instead of 6. We'll still have HCP 6, which is local roads, but now we're going to go to a 1 through 4. And we've shuffled around some of the roads because the reality is the 1s and 2s, they're going to be the ones that are built. They're going to be the ones that we really focus pavement preservation on. The 4s are probably going to be the LCP roads. The threes are probably going to be in this new program, the CPR program, where we might bring the pug mill in and do some kind of effort to get drainage. A road that may never really truly get built, but we can build it good enough for our customers' needs.
We estimated the total need for that program is around $19 million per year. And in this work plan, we were able to fund that at $12 million, including advancing some of those into the 2017 construction season. So we're doing about 10 to 15 miles of CPR treatment this calendar year.
I think the other thing that I know a lot of our folks that work at DOT have been frustrated by permitting and rules. One of the reasons we really emphasize doubling the amount of money we're spending on large culverts is we've worked really hard with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as well as the Department of Inland Fish and Wildlife to get more predictable responses, timelier responses, and to be able to go faster than we've been able to go in the recent past. And we're fairly confident in those relationships right now that we'll be able to get more permitted.
Yeah, and we also had been seeing, one of the things in the report talks about the slope failures, those types of things.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more of those just because of the types of weather that we're having, some of those things. So that's another thing that
Exactly.
it makes sense that instead of chasing those after it happens is to let's find out where they might happen, let's fix them before.
Right.
So we canvassed the regions for some of those slope stabilization areas that they have concern with, and we funded a number of those with PE money at $75,000 a piece just to take a look, do some engineering on those, and make sure, like you said, that we're out ahead of any potential issue that we may have there.
Yes, I got to tell you, the roads report is very comprehensive. A lot of great things. Thank you very much. One of the other things we spent a lot of time in 2016 was going back to our strategic plan.
Right. So this is our second update of the strategic plan, and I think it's a testament to the department, really, that we're looking at this every 2 years. It seems to be a good interval for us to adjust and refocus our efforts, develop action plans and implementation plans around areas that we're really concerned about here and want to focus on. So asset management did take a kind of a forefront in this strategic plan. We're looking at finishing off some of those asset inventories that we've undertaken, integrating data, looking at condition assessments in this 2-year period, and really developing asset management funding strategies for different asset classes that we can feed into responsible resource allocations when developing the work plan.
We have been striving to go in that direction where when we develop a work plan, it is truly, purely developed using good asset management principles. And it's interesting to hear people say, yes, that's the right thing to do, instead of do my project. So we've heard a little bit about it through this session when we've had an opportunity to go there. So I truly believe this work plan is probably the closest that we've come, this 3-year work plan, 17, 18, 19. And knowing what are some of the things that we still have to do to get to where we want to be.
Well, and where we want to be, as we know, is data-driven. We want to take the data that we collect on our assets, the condition of that asset, and try to use that data to make the correct decisions and the responsible investments that we have in the infrastructure to best serve the customers. So we do need to finish off some of those asset inventories. We have items like retaining walls that we need to do a little bit more work on. That seems to be one. We have a good handle now on our large culverts, and now, as Joyce indicated, it's really the time to invest in those types of assets that we do have a good handle on. So we're striving to become data-driven. We're striving to integrate that data with some of our financial systems, and we're making great strides in that as well.
I also think that one of the things we need to start doing is looking at the corridor approach. And as part of the asset management is to not just think of something as a bridge, but if we have a whole a corridor like the interstate or a Route 9 or a Route 11 up north, our customer sees that as, one system. And so how do we make sure that that system is functioning for them? And And also from an economy point of view, if we can bundle projects together coming up, or we can take maintenance work and capital work and put it together for that corridor to make sure that things, the preservation work is getting done to protect that corridor, that's part of where I think we have to take the asset management information and get to that step.
And that's really taking that data and turning it to how do we serve the customer best? How do we apply those resources,
Right.
given the current assets that we have and their condition, to serve the customer the best? And that includes moving freight and looking at logistics and some of the things that we can do to lower costs and the resistance within the system for our business partners out there.
DOTs in the past, their focus was on a bridge or a certain piece of highway or a certain asset, maybe lighting at an interchange or whatever. Whereas we have to think of it holistically. We got to make sure that these are all connected, so the movement of goods, peoples, and services can go smoothly from point A to point B, wherever that is. So asset management, though, and we've all said this many times in different meetings, what is our number one asset at the Department of Transportation?
Well, and I'll quote you saying our number one asset at the Department of Transportation is our employees.
Yeah.
And so another piece of the strategic plan really is to develop programs that result in having engaged, invested employees, healthy employees that are on the job, willing and able to perform at the highest level. And we've kicked off a major initiative in the Challenge Me program.
And I can tell you, I am so proud of what our staff have done, what you've all done in putting together this Challenge Me. I think it's really starting to take hold. It is so important that our employees and their families and all are healthy, because we all know what it means about being absent from work or being at work but really not feeling that well. So there's so many tools out there that we have started to find that we didn't even know. And so this whole Challenge Me program is so important, and we just want to kick it out a whole new door and just keep making this happen. So it is so important. And again, our number one asset is our people, because without them, we don't do any of this stuff.
That's right.
We don't need a roads report, and we don't, So with that said, we've covered a lot. We've got a lot more happening in 2017, but thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you so much, Andy, for sitting down. And I just want to let everybody know that you can go online at our websites and you can get copies of the work plan. You can get copies of the updated strategic plan, copies of the roads report, and even copies of our older Keeping Our Bridges Safe report, which these are very important publications because we use them tremendously in everything we do. So again, thank you so much for being here.